Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a surprise new installment to the Red Shadow's favorite games. Of course, I am the Red Shadow, and as I expected, honestly, I expected I would be adding to my list at some point. But even for me, it surprised me a little bit that this is one of the games that's going onto my list. But I have spent the last month like fully engrossed in playing this new little 3DS game that came out at the beginning of June, and it is called Tomodachi Life. This game is, I don't know, it's kind of hard to really describe it, but I'm going to try. So here goes. Tomodachi Life is a mixture of games like Animal Crossing, The Sims, virtual pet games like Nintendogs and Nintendcats, and even things like the Tamagotchi toys that were around in like the late 90s. It's virtual reality, pet raising, like games where you don't really have full control of what's going on, but you can influence the lives and relationships of little characters. In Tomodachi Life, it takes what are referred to as the Miis, which if you're a Nintendo fan from Wii and DS era on up till now, you probably know what a Mii is. It's a little character that you make in the game that can represent you or someone else in a lot of different styles of games. Now, I haven't done much with Miis in anything with my Wii or on my 3DS prior to this game, even though I'd made a couple Miis, including one that looks like me. I hadn't done anything with them because I don't like the little games the little simple free games that were thrown on my 2DS that use the Miis. They just didn't interest me at all. But this one is loaded with fun stuff to do with your Miis. So, what do you do in Tomodachi Life? Well, a lot of different things. The game takes place on an island that you get to name, and you move your Miis into a set of apartments. It starts off rather small, but as you add more Miis, the apartment complex will get bigger. I think 100 is the max, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so I wouldn't take my word for it. But you put them in, they get their own little apartments, and they basically live out their little lives. And you get to sort of look in on them and interact with them in certain ways. It's very, very minimal hands-on. Like, in a game like The Sims, your character has to be fed, has to clean up after himself, has to go to the bathroom, has to go to his job, has to literally answer the door if someone comes to visit him. It's a lot of things that you have to take care of, constantly clicking this, clicking that, buying this, judging that, strategizing for something. In this game, you don't really do that. Your Miis will go about their lives in their own way. They'll go to the store, they'll go to the cafe, they'll go jogging, they'll go to sleep when they want to. But you do get to play some parts in all of that. Like, for example, you'll see the graphic for your apartment complex, and you'll see all these little windows. And if they're lit up, that means that the Mii is in his apartment, in his or her apartment, and they'll just be doing their own thing. You can tap on the window so that you can look in, and maybe they're walking, maybe they're reading, maybe they're sitting on the couch, maybe they have friends over. You can give them items during the course of the game that they can actually be using with their friends or just on their own. I'll get into that a little bit more momentarily. But if they need something, there'll be an icon on the window. One of the icons looks like a little stick figure guy, and there's a text bubble coming out with a bunch of black swirls in it. That usually means that the Mii wants or needs something. They're hungry, so you have to give them food, which you buy and then you give to them, and they can gauge whether they like it or not, and they'll let you know. When they want some food, you feed them. Maybe they want a different hat or a change of clothes, or sometimes they even want a different look for their apartment. You can select all of those things of what you have available at the time. If you look and there is an orange stick figure character there with like a bubble that's popped up, that usually means it has something to do with like a friendship type thing. Most of the time when you click on those, they will either say, I don't know about so-and-so character, what do you think about me and them? And you can be like, oh, you'd be a great match as friends. And they'll go talk to them sometimes, or they'll keep it in mind. Or other times they'll ask about a friendship that's already formed. Do I think that's a good friendship? I have seen absolutely no benefit whatsoever to ever telling them no. I always tell them, be friends with everybody. I just like more people for them to interact with. And another thing that will pop up from time to time will be a pink one that will have a little heart inside the little text bubble. And that means that somebody wants to either enter into a relationship or change a dynamic in the relationship. So they may say, I'm really stressed out today. I want to ask so-and-so out. What do you think? You tell them yes or no. And if they say yes, they may ask you for some advice. And you click on a few things, and then they'll go and ask that person out. And they can get rejected, they can get accepted. Some of the more fun interactions are when someone says, I have feelings for you, how do you feel about me? And then someone else says, wait, and they come running up and they say, I love you too. And then the person who was being asked originally can choose one or the other or neither. I've seen it all. I've seen all of those different scenarios play out. And it can be pretty funny. It's those little interactions that I find the most satisfaction with. Somebody being sad because they were rejected, someone being super excited because they, now they have a sweetheart, as they're called. And once people enter into relationships, then they will hang out together. Sometimes they'll go on dates, and then eventually one of the two may say they want to propose. And then you get to help out with the proposal, and there's a little mini game that goes along with it. It's relatively easy once you've done it a few times. And then they get married, and they move into a house in a different section of the island, and they will be together a lot of times, eating, talking, watching television. At night they're sleeping in the same bed. But one of the interesting parts about the relationships, especially the marriages, they still have their apartment in the complex, and sometimes you will find one of the two in their apartment while the other one's at home asleep, and they'll be sleeping in their own apartment, or they'll both be sleeping in their apartments. And I haven't been able to discern whether or not that means that there's an issue or if it's just a random thing and the game has them do that. I have not had any couples get divorced, but apparently it's possible. But I have had two couples have kids, and that's something else that can happen. They can have a baby. You can have a little bit of control over whether they're male or female, what their name is, what their personality is, or you can just let the game determine on its own. And then the child grows up to an age, and this usually all happens within a few days. They will grow up to kid age where they can move into their own apartment. I know that's a little strange, but you can have kids or adults living in the apartments. And you basically get kind of an ending credit sequence the first time a child moves out into an apartment of their own. You do have another choice, though, once they get to be a certain age. You can move them into their own apartment and let them live their own lives there. Or if you use the Wi-Fi capabilities of the 2DSs or the 3DSs, and you use what's called Street Pass, I guess you can send those kids out into the world and they can go live on someone else's island. But if that happens, they cannot come back and live on your island. They can come and visit, but that's as much as they can do. I'm not doing any of the online aspects of this game, so my kids that grow up to live on my island are just going to do that. They're going to live on my island so that I can continue to see what new relationships they can have. Now that sums up a whole lot of what this game is about. People live their lives, you feed them when they want to be fed, you give them new clothing, give them special items. Sometimes they have fights with one another, and in order to get one of them to calm down enough to apologize, you can give them a travel ticket and they can take a vacation, give them a bath set so they can have a nice bath, something that'll calm them down, and then they'll apologize Most of the time the other person will apologize as well. Sometimes they'll be like, I'm still not over it. So then that sends the first me into depression. They get all sad and stuff. The same thing happens when people get rejected. The few times I've told somebody not to date a certain me, they get really, really sad. It's just the things that you can do and the interactions you get out of it are really, really fun and unique in my opinion. But it is not fairly, but heavily repetitive. If you don't like repetitive things in games like that, and especially if you don't like a game that has a set or clear goal or ending, this would not be a game for you. But if you want those kind of games where you go check in on it a couple of times a day and do things for your Miis and you know, just have those little fun interactions, then it would be a game to check out. At $35, that's what I paid for it. I think it's been well worth it. For someone else, they may want to wait until the day that it comes out at $20 or $15. Another fun thing that you can do in this game, and it's one of the things that I really enjoy the most, is the different kinds of characters you can have inhabit your island. I have a small handful of created people that I just came up with. I just made a random guy or a random lady and gave them a name and set up their profile and just popped them into the apartment just so there'd be more people there. But you can download or create your own celebrity characters or fictional characters. Pretty much everything that I have that isn't creations of my own, I downloaded from a website called mecharacters.com, and you just snap the QR code and there the character pops in. But I've got Mulder and Scully, Skinner, and all three of the lone gunmen on my island. I have Captain Picard, Riker, Geordi LaForge, Data, Troy, Worf, Dr. Crusher, and Wesley Crusher all living on my island. I have Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity from The Matrix living on my island. I have the 5 celebrity Miis that were available on the Tomodachi Life website, which is Shaquille O'Neal, Shaun White, Zendaya Coleman, Debbie Ryan, and Christina Aguilera, all in my game. Who else do I have? Beavis and Butthead, I have both of them. I have Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, CM Punk the wrestler. I mean, the list just goes on of all these different characters that I have that were made by other people, but some of them are just unbelievable. I have like Seth Green and Jack Black. They both look perfect. I'm just really, really pleased with all of that. And for the most part, all of the people that I have in my game that are based on celebrities or fictional characters from shows or books, movies and whatnot, their behavior and their personality in the game has been very reminiscent of the real things. Sometimes I just like shake my head. I'm like, does this game know that that particular person acts that way in real life or in whatever intellectual property they're from? I'm sure that it couldn't. It just has done a really good job of doing that. So that's my thoughts on Tomodachi Life for the 3DS or on the 2DS. It's a really cool game. If you like the sim style games, I think that this has such a better playability than stuff like Animal Crossing and The Sims. Just the right amount of interact and observe, and such quirky humor. Japanese humor abounds in this, but thankfully they translated this over for release here in North America, because I don't know, this is just so fun. Even with its repetitive nature, I get a kick out of it, and I check it 2, 3, 4 times a day. The last week or so, I've been playing it on my lunch break at work for an hour straight. I will play it again tonight for a little while, just to see what else has happened in it, to see if any new kids have been born, any new relationships are popping up. I don't know. I in my previous videos for this, I didn't give ratings for a game, and I'm probably not going to start that. But since it's such an unusual experience, I feel like giving it some sort of a rating. So I would give this game an 8.5 out of 10 for what it is. Like I mentioned before, it's not a game with an ending, not a clear-cut goal. a lot of repetitive and just clicking on something and watching what happens. But if you're into any of that, this is a really good game to get. So I thank you for watching another installment to my favorite games, Tomodachi Life. I hope you enjoyed. If anybody out there has played it or gets a chance to play it, let me know what you thought of it. I'm having a whole lot of fun with this right now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.